everyone! Today I'm going to talk about money and my mental health because I've been realizing a few things. But I guess first of all, for those of you who haven't been following along, let's do a quick recap. In 2007, I got my first job at McDonald's, and then I was continuously employed in some form for like ages after that. I always had a job. I've been depressed on and off my entire life, but I always managed to have some kind of job. Sometimes maybe I had to reduce hours because, I was casual most of the time anyway. But I managed to keep getting up and keep going to work and having at least some kind of income. And often I was also studying at the same time. Or maybe I would ditch the study because I've started so many courses and then stopped studying them. But sometimes I even powered through the depression while studying. So just for like ages, I managed to stay employed regardless of what was going on in my head. But my last job, I've never been full-time employed, but the last job that I did was practically full-time. So what happened is I basically got a full-time job, but because I was fast at it, I didn't have to come in early in the morning. So I think I started at like 10:30 and then worked until 5 instead of the usual 9 to 5 thing. And I essentially got a higher hourly rate. I was being paid the same as the previous full-time person, but doing less hours, like paid over the year the same amount. So yeah, that's probably the closest I've gotten to full-time employment. And that was I was doing well at the time, but then, wow, so many things happened. So my band, Rainbow Death Ray, we were working on our EP and I was just doing so much stuff. I was doing way too much stuff because that band was I had band members, but I was basically the main person doing most of the writing, the recording, the producing, our social media, our crowdfunding, just I was doing way too much. So I would go to work in the morning and then come home and be working on band stuff. So I was always busy. And then towards the end of 2015, both my grandparents died, and that just I collapsed basically. I had been working too hard during the day and at night, and I just emotionally couldn't handle it. I mean, I'd come off my antidepressants, which probably didn't help at the time. So I didn't have that to stabilize me, and then yeah, with my grandparents dying, I just got back into the whole existential crap of it all, and yeah, I got really badly depressed to the point that I had talked to psychologists, but they ended up sending me to a psychiatrist because I was just so badly depressed. And so by about mid-2016, I had to completely stop working. And it's not just because of the depression, it's also because I was trying all these medications and they were really messing me up. I couldn't do it. We ended up realizing that I'm too sensitive to medication to really work. But at the time we didn't know that. So I was constantly trying all these different medications, and some of them, there was one that would make me shake. There was one that made me heaps drowsy. One I had been on for ages before that was making me lose too much weight. Yeah, I just not being able to concentrate and all that sort of stuff. I had to stop work, which stopping work, on the one hand, it's getting rid of some of the stress, and I just couldn't do it anyway. So that was kind of helpful, but on the other hand, you've got so much time to yourself to just think about how terrible the world is. And yeah, I mean, I probably needed the amount of sleep that I was getting just because I was my brain was going, but it's rough when you have so much time. But the other thing is, no job, no income. And that was the first time since 2007 that I had not been employed. And it's just, it took me a while to apply for Centrelink. It took me maybe 2 or 3 months before I applied. And just because there's that sense of pride. If you've been working your entire life in some capacity, you're I don't need Centrelink. And then having to admit that I needed some help. And don't get me wrong, I am living with my parents. I moved out briefly for 9 months a long time ago, but let's not talk about that. Point being, for most of my life, I live at home with my parents. My parents are well off enough that they can, feed me, give me somewhere to stay, all that kind of stuff. I mean, they don't pay all my extras, but I'm pretty stable in my life. I'm not desperate for survival kind of thing. But I do pay my own private health insurance, and I've got some other bills like my dog, I've got to pay his bills and things. So yeah, the financial stress of that, even though my life is stable, I don't know how, but I've trained my brain to be like, I need to be making money kind of feeling. So yeah, that was something that kind of made it hard for me with my depression. Is like, on the one hand, I couldn't work. And then on the other hand, I'm looking at my bank balance going down because, I saved enough money that it wasn't going to be an issue not to work for a while. But just watching those numbers go down psychologically, it messed me up. And, when Centrelink turned out to be really bad for my mental health. So when I had to tell them to get lost, I mean, when they did give me my medical exemption after the shit fight that we had, that brief period of time where they didn't bother me, that helped. That actually did help. But then when they started harassing me again and just didn't understand my medical condition, I just had to tell them to go away because I was really trying to recover from my depression, and every time I felt like I was making progress, they'd just swoop in and destroy it all again. So I had to tell them to go away. So for my mental health, to recover my mental health, I basically had to let go of all the things that, no job, no Centrelink. It was kind of a rough time for me. Because for some reason, I just need to feel like I'm making money, even if it's just to keep my bank account stable. That's just, I don't know, maybe it's because my parents are both finance types. I mean, mum was in the finance industry for ages before she retired, and dad is still an accountant. So maybe that's the thing. I used to be good at maths, so maybe that's just how my brain works, is the numbers and upbringing, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so I have some good news. Took us 7 minutes to get to the good news. I finally got some work again. Now, it's just casual work, okay? So the first job that I got, I actually saw the ad on Facebook, and I wasn't sure if I should apply, but when I'm looking at it, it's afternoon work for a few hours, once or twice a week. Seems manageable because even though I've recovered from depression, I'm still quite wary, and I know my energy levels haven't quite recovered to what they used to be. And because burnout was such a big part of how I ended up in that 2 years, more than 2 years of melancholic depression and dysthymia, I've just been really conscious of the fact that I need to be careful about how I go about getting back into work. Managing my life and my headspace especially. I want to make sure I do it gradually, build my resilience back up. So the idea of jumping straight back into full-time or even part-time or whatever, it was just too much for me. So I see this casual job come up on Facebook, and the hours suit me because, I have had trouble waking up early. It's been a process, even after getting rid of depression, to try and get myself back into being a normal human being. So I saw this ad on Facebook, and it's basically teaching art to kids. And I'm not a huge fan of kids. I'm never going to have kids. I gotta say that. And it's not just because I don't want to date anyone. It's because I don't want kids. I am happy with puppies. But it is art. And one of the things that I've been worried about since leaving uni, I did my Master of Art, just finished pretty much. One of the things I've been worried about is it's so easy to just get disconnected from art, because if you're going to do art, you kind of have to focus. You kind of have to keep doing it. And, after I finished my final course at uni, I spent a lot of time on my bum. I don't even remember what I've been doing. I guess trying to sort out music stuff, but I've also spent a lot of time just watching YouTube and getting into all these weird interest holes where I'm interested in something and I just sort of get a bit hypnotized by it. So the good thing about teaching art is I can kind of stay connected to it. And some of the stuff that we've done already there, I'm like, wow, I haven't thought about using that particular thing in ages. Maybe I should consider that for my own art. So that's a good thing about having an art related job is I can stay connected to that, and it might inspire me to do some more work. So, and then the thing about teaching kids is I am so insecure about my art, because one of the problems of my life is I'm constantly jumping from interest to interest. So I'm a little bit good at a lot of things, but I'm an expert in pretty much nothing. So yeah, the thing about teaching kids is most kids don't have a whole lot of expertise, so it's a little bit less intimidating. Like if I was going to teach art to adults, I'd be heaps nervous. And I know a lot of adults would be heaps better at art than me, even if they're coming to an art school. So yeah, it's been a good way to sort of get into the teaching thing, because instead of like jumping straight into teaching adults who know all this stuff, I'm working with kids, and the kids actually need help, and I feel like I can give some guidance there. So that's been good, like teaching art to kids, and it's usually afternoons, although during the school holidays they do things during the day, so that's why I haven't had a lot of time, because I've done a bit of that, and then usually I need a day to recover afterwards, because yeah, I'm, with the Centrelink guys, they assessed me as being able to work 23 hours a week, and I still haven't gotten up to that. I'm trying to build myself up. I'm not depressed anymore, but I'm still enough of a mess that I can't work 23 hours a week yet. Anyway, I'm getting off onto another tangent. But so that's my first job. And then I did maybe a week or two of that. And then all of a sudden, one of my bonsai teachers contacted me, and he offered me a job helping them out with bonsai. And I was just like, this is awesome! Because I've been wanting to get back into bonsai. I mean, I've really got to sort out my collection, and I'm hoping when all this rain clears up, I'll get a chance, and then I can film, I guess, what I'm doing for you guys as well. Because I know there's some of you who are waiting for me to do some more bonsai stuff. But now I have a job in bonsai. This is really exciting, because I thought about going back to classes, but the thing is, it's on once a month on weekends, which kind of once a month, it's kind of hard to get into a habit for that, and it can be quite expensive depending on what you're doing, and family situations, like negotiating the cars and stuff. I'm basically the lowest priority for a car, and then trying to get there by public transport is a little bit tricky. But yeah, no, so instead of me doing classes, I'm actually employed by them, so I'm doing bonsai. They're teaching me stuff, and I'm getting paid for it. It's really cool, and yeah, I'm really happy with this. It's only once or twice a month though, still, so that's why I'm not hugely employed, but it is giving me something to focus on, and I'm just excited. I've already had one shift with the bonsai guys, and I mean, a lot of it is more basic stuff. So instead of doing the actual bonsai, I was dealing with a lot of cuttings and transferring baby plants into larger plastic pots, so that it's sort of the baby process of bonsai. And then actually I did work on some maples, just sort of learning to repot a lot quicker. And the cool thing about this is I'm getting a lot of practice with repotting, but it's not I don't have to buy a whole bunch of materials to be able to get that practice in. And I've even started doing some pruning, and I mean, yeah, I'll be doing a whole bunch of bonsai stuff and just learning stuff. I'm learning a bit about the way they do the soil for different situations, a little bit about diseases, and I think overall this is just really going to help me with my bonsai. And it's another job, so yeah, those are the two main jobs that I'm doing at the moment. And see, this is something that I'm now realizing, okay, with previous jobs, usually I've only ever done one job at a time. For me to be doing two different casual jobs is just it's really different for me. And what I didn't realize before is that maybe I'm not suited to this normal sort of 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, or even just when I was at Officeworks, there was a period of time where I was practically doing full-time until they cut hours again. I was technically part-time, but I was doing a lot, and just doing one job. The problem with just doing one job, whether it was Officeworks or that other job I was doing that was in an office working, but yeah, these ones where you're doing the same thing all the time, I'm realizing that's just not how I work. And it feels dumb to realize this now, but it makes sense. In my normal life, I'm constantly jumping from thing to thing. I can't just do one thing and, become an expert at it. I get bored so easily. And maybe having one regular job just doesn't suit my psychology. Maybe what I've needed all this time is a few casual jobs. A little bit tricky trying to negotiate times, but like with these two jobs, they've worked out quite well. The bonsai one is like always going to be on a Tuesday, always during the day. Not every Tuesday, so I need to find out when my shifts are going to be, but I know that's going to be a thing. And then for the art one is usually like Wednesday, Thursday afternoons. So I've sort of like worked out times with that. So yeah, timetabling casual jobs can be a little bit difficult, but I'm on top of that because I'm only doing a couple shifts with them. It's not too bad. But yeah, like maybe what I've needed is to just not be doing the same thing every day. And the other thing, like, I mean, obviously with casual work, you get like a flexibility because you're not working every day, and I really need me time. I really need downtime. I haven't gotten to that stage where I can be at work every day. I just need to chill because I am not right in the head, as we've all worked out. But I think the main thing for me is just not getting bored in a job, being able to make money without getting bored. Who knew? That's probably how I have to do it. So I've been considering applying for maybe a third job just over the Christmas, but I think, as I've said with burnout, maybe 3 jobs would be a little bit too much, especially if I want to try and make my YouTube better and I want to try and do some art stuff and, But yeah, is there anything else I wanted to say? Basically, so that's my work history, that's what happened with my depression, that's my new jobs, and that's my realization is I might just not be the right person for regular full-time work. It is a little bit hard to admit to myself that I might never be able to do full-time work because I do have that natural thing where I worry about money because at some point my parents aren't going to be around, so what am I going to do then? I don't know. I'm trying not to worry too much because that is quite a while in the future hopefully, but it's always in the back of my mind. It's like, how am I going to support myself in the future? Because to be honest, like, I don't like this world that we're living in. I'm kind of just here because people want me here, but considering that I am here and I have to survive, I need to make sure I know what I'm doing, and I've just always been a planner. Maybe that's tied into like anxiety problems that I've never dealt with, but yeah, what do you think of that? Is like, I should have just been doing casual work all along and not sticking to one job. I need to do different things. I mean, it's good now. If I had tried to do casual jobs before, I can see the problem is I was mostly doing retail because I was qualified for nothing, and yeah, that would have been shit just going from retail job to retail job. But now I'm doing 2 art-related jobs and they're different. And I mean, the teaching art one, it's different art all the time. I mean, so far, what have I taught? I've taught like sculpture with plaster. I've taught clay. I've taught drawing, and we did like watercolor stuff, which I don't even know watercolor. So I'm learning on the job, and it's actually going all right because the kids know even less about watercolor than I do. So yeah, that one's always different. And then the bonsai is like something I wanted to do anyway. So hey, we have learned something about me. I need to be spreading myself into different areas. So who knows what's going to come next. I mean, you could also count some of the stuff I'm doing online as kind of like a job, except instead of getting money, I get like the stuff out of my head that I need to get out. And then some of you guys are supporting me on Patreon, which is really good. Like with Patreon, yes, Patreon is a way to give me money and stuff. And I really appreciate the guys who've done that so far. And there's like one of you who is giving me more than $1 a month. Because yeah, I've set my Patreon up so that it's just $1 a month for like you get access to all the things. Because I can't be bothered to go through these tiers. I'm a nobody. Like, what am I going to, give me $1 and I'll shout you out on YouTube? That's like really lame for someone like me who has hardly anything going on here. I don't want to have to think about that. So I'm just like, everything. You can listen to my demos and see some of my weird art stuff, some of my exclusive videos that I don't show publicly for whatever reason, I just put that all for $1, but there is one of you who is giving me more than $1, and I'm just like, I didn't expect anyone to do that, so thank you so much. But anyway, back to the point. So Patreon is giving me a little bit of pocket money, but for me, what's more important with that, because like it's better than YouTube ever gave me, but it's still a small amount. So pocket money is the right way to describe it. But what really I find helpful with that is like people are interested in me enough to give me a little bit of money. I don't know what my issue is with money, but when people are giving me money, suddenly I'm like, oh, wow, shit, I really have to do work. So like at home, I'm a little bit of a slob. I'm getting better at cleaning, but like say after dinner, taking the plates away and putting them in the dishwasher and cleaning up all that, I find that hard to do. But if you take me to the art school I'm working at and I have to clean all the pallets in the sink, for some reason, because it's a job and I'm working and getting paid for it, I am like a machine in that sink. I clean faster than everyone and more efficiently, I reckon. I was cleaning up next to one of the other new girls and I'm just like, super fast. I don't know what it is, but somehow that psychology just makes me think, oh wow, this is serious. I really need to work. So yeah, the Patreon is really helping on that side. I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, money and my psychology, I have issues, and I don't know, I think I've probably talked about it to a psychologist, but they don't really have great suggestions. I think it's good though that I finally have some casual work just so I can chill out, because the private health insurance that I've been paying for has been the main thing sucking down my bank balance, and it's just like, So getting on top of that, I actually feel so much more relaxed. Like, it's not a huge amount of money, it's like basically stabilized my bank account, and maybe I can afford some other things. But yeah, I think I've made this plan for things I want to talk about, and I'm like, did I even follow that plan? I'm pretty sure I've gone all over the place, but yeah, I think I've covered the main things and just gone about it in a bit of a more rambly way than I expected to. And now we're over 20 minutes, and that wasn't supposed to happen, but anyway. Yeah, point being, I have some dumb issues when it comes to money. Even though I am comfortable, like, the house that we live in is really nice, and the suburb we live in is actually quite nice. I mean, it's boring, but it's nice. I'm really lucky in so many ways, but for some reason, I just can't control this stupid way that I think about my finances. I'm always worried that at some point I'm not going to have enough and I'm going to struggle. And I think, like, I mean, if I was homeless, I would probably just die. I don't have that kind of resilience. This brain likes to get depressed so much that I would probably just like lie down in the gutter and not move. You would have to take me to hospital, and yeah, I'm so fucked up. I'm sorry, I said I wouldn't swear, but it's hard for me not to swear. I hate that YouTube wants to censor that kind of thing. It's an honest way that I feel, and they've shown that if you swear, it helps make pain feel less painful. So fuck you, YouTube, I will swear. Shit. Anyway, that's all for this. I'm sorry I'm really bad at staying on topic and like not rambling, but whatever. You watch me because I'm a nut, and I'm pretending not to be a nut, but I can't help it, can I? So I will talk to you next time, I guess, and maybe I'll change my jumper so that it's not so obvious that I'm filming so many things on the same day, except that I'm too lazy to change my shirt. But for all you know, I could be washing this shirt every week. Maybe I'll make this my YouTube shirt, hey? Sexpot Osaka with the funny dude. I don't know. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.